Okay, so today I have a slightly faster version of the block mining simulation game. So I'm going to do some playtesting until I hopefully get one more Kickstarter pledge. So in this version, I added a new index to the database, and I also fixed an issue with some of the acknowledgements that come back when doing block writes. Got my first chatter. How's it going? Hello, Builder Software. How's it going? Jihad Kidis? Not sure how to pronounce that. So hopefully this version should not lag as much once I start exploring more of the world. One of the big issues last time was it seems like once the block world starts to fill up a bit, it's quite slow. And I haven't done much stress testing for what happens when the database gets a lot more full. It's fine. How are you doing? Pretty good. Things are moving along. I'm starting to get a little bit more ahead on things. Finished taxes, paid the accountant. Got a bit more work done on the next video. Yeah, it is identical, actually. It's I guess I could change the seed value, and that would totally change the map. But for now, I actually kind of like the fact that it's deterministic, because I can go back and I guess it's honestly kind of boring to play the same thing over and over again. But that way, I know what to expect, so I can kind of go back and I have an idea of what should work and what won't work, and how fast things are. And I recall that on this particular map, it was actually kind of hard to find any kind of ores to mine, just because of how the seed generation worked. Honestly, the terrain generation is really bad. I've put almost no work into it. For how simple it is, it's only 20 lines of code for a bunch of if statements. I could make it random. I think it's actually just set to 0 now or something. Actually, I could just recompile it right now with a different seed value, but for now I'll keep it the same. I mean, I could add that as a feature in the game. There's lots of features that could be added, but first I got to make it actually playable. If it's laggy and no one can use it, then kind of doesn't matter how many features it has. So now let's do some testing on new terrain generation. So the idea is that I guess you might not notice, but I believe it is a little bit more responsive in terms of when you move around. So if I'm moving down here, pretty much as soon as I get up to the ungenerated area, it's actually generating stuff near where I am, which is of course what you want. And then if I go back up here, it is still lagging a bit, but it's starting to get better, I think. And one of the big issues I noticed the last few times I played is that if I play it for like, an hour or so, by the end of it, it's starting to get really laggy. The Dell Inspiron 3521 is my favorite Linux laptop. Love the channel. Thank you. Yeah, it's just an old laptop that I had laying around. Now it seems like it's still lagging pretty bad with like random writes. So I press M, and I guess that's because it's in this version there is no there's a client and server class, but the interface between them is just it's a software interface in Java, so there's no networking. And I made it that way so that it would be easier to do, so that you can just recompile it with a different interface, so it can do over the network. But I guess the consequence of that now is, since the writes are kind of synchronous, I think I have it set so I can have like 2 outstanding writes. It's waiting. Taking a bunch of time for the write to come back. Yeah, I guess I have it implemented so it sends the write, and then the write is applied to the server, and then the server sends a notify that the block has been changed, so that that way if you had multiple clients and something the server knows about another block write, then it can send that out. But for now, it's the eventual model would be the single player client would apply like a local transaction to like give you instantaneous feedback, and then once the transaction, and then simultaneously also send it back to the server. And then if the transaction succeeds on the server, then it would get an acknowledgement, and if it doesn't, then it would basically give you like rubber banding on the client. I'll have to add some new game mechanics soon. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'll make that the next edition. Oh, nice. I got one pledge. Thank you for whoever did that. Welcome to the block mining simulation game community. interesting how it does those kind of bursts of loading. I don't know. I'll have to add be a lot of work to add to a bunch of benchmarking and stuff to figure out why that is. My guess is that's probably something to do with the database accesses. I think it's probably, so probably all like together in the same cluster in the same like page in the database. That's all like getting loaded together. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this game is hard on the hard drive because I can hear it clicking away constantly. Would it be better on NVMe? Yeah, the database access for sure. I'm not 100% sure if it would be, if that is the limiting factor for most of the lag. There's quite a few different sources of lag at this point in the game. And I guess it also depends on everything else on your machine, because it's, I guess if you had NVMe, to have an NVMe drive, you'd have to have a faster, you'd have to have a newer motherboard than this one. And I assume this one doesn't have NVMe, but then also you're going to have like a different socket for a CPU, and then basically your entire rig is going to be much faster. That's pretty slow now. So I press M. It's like, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, it still is. It does seem like it's accumulating some lag. So I was thinking that probably there's still a lot of like performance issues and just like usability issues. I'll have to improve first, but do you guys have any opinions on how, in terms of game mechanics? So I'll probably focus it pretty explicitly on mining. So I'm just going to keep adding new block types for mining. And honestly, I'm not like games like Dwarf Fortress. I think they're they're an interesting concept, but I can't really get into the fantasy aspect. I'm kind of partial to like realism, like not even almost like I guess the game fantasy aspect doesn't interest me that much. It's like the simulation process. So I wouldn't mind like making like kind of a legit block mining simulation game where you got like all kinds of different ore types. Maybe eventually put some of the rare earths, like erbium or stuff like that, and then put in some of the actual mining practices, like actually implement some of the different ways to transform some mechanics for the different ore concentration pathways that you can have for like certain types of copper ore or different types of iron ore. Before I do all that, I have to work on the UI a lot more, but something to work toward. You can make some paper with titanium dioxide or paint. I don't really like the idea of a game with an end game. I guess I think a game like Minecraft is how they have an end game, like where there is an end game that you could do, but I think I didn't even know there was an actual way to beat Minecraft. I thought someone told me you could beat Minecraft once, and I just thought they were like joking with me. But yeah, some kind of like optional thing where, but that's probably getting ahead of things. I'll try to get into more basic mechanics first. Yeah, I don't really even have like recipe rules. The only crafting so far is just press the C key, and then what it does is it checks to see if you have enough metallic iron and wood to make a pickaxe, and if you don't, then it checks to see if you have enough iron ore and wood to make metallic iron. Something I was thinking about today. What I really need is an indication of like where the floor is, because right here, like you can. So if I go press X, that'll go down to the next level. So I'm at Y -1, and then I go up to Y0, but I can't really tell where I can go down. Could add like another color onto the screen or something, like a kind of shaded, slightly different shaded area, so you know there's floor there. Last time you guys had a romantic relationship, and how you managed that with your career? I don't know. Not sure what you're talking about. managing risk. Again, not sure. I don't know, maybe you're confusing me with someone else. Well, I think it's starting to slow down a bit again. Oh, there's... Yeah, there must be maybe some cache is filling up somewhere or something. I feel like more memory would help a ton. Yeah, I probably would. I could probably actually there's a memory profiler that maybe I could install that. How would you debug problems like the lag or memory issues? Some of those issues I just, like, from having written it, I know intuitively what the source of the lag is. Like it's probably hard for you to tell, but like based on where things are loading, like oh, I'm not in it right now, but as I move around, the parts of the game that are loading and not loading, some of that was because I exposed new areas and then it's sending it to a queue, and I just didn't have the queue managed. So it was working on loading areas of the map far away from where I was. So fixing that made it just a lot more playable. I think this is what it's called. I'll let that install for a bit. But yeah, so like when I move around like here, so now it's loading areas right now where I am. And what it used to do was, I come to an area like that, and then it would continue loading that area for a long time, and then it would not load this at all. It's kind of lagging the same way, but right now, but just making that a bit more intelligent to like if I start loading areas of the map over here, and so like all these question marks are queued up, and if I move over here, what it's supposed to do is drop those requests and then quickly start loading this area. But it looks like it's looks like there is some issue with that still. It jumps a lot, which makes me think it's maybe it's like disk latency. Yeah, I guess the ideal thing would be I can let's see if my hopefully this won't break anything. Yeah, I think it's Visual VM that I've used in the past for debugging stuff. It just shows you a breakdown of like which functions are being used a lot, what's getting. You just see a percentage breakdown of where most of the time is being spent, and then from that you can just, for if one function is taking up 80% of the time, you can kind of you don't really have to hypothesize. You could just go from what the profiler says. And I find with Java oftentimes there's unexpected things that I would not think to be slowing it down, like stuff like map lookups. And then I found like pretty big performance differences going from like, I think hash map to tree map, or hash set to tree set. It's not quite too dark. It's setting the exposure on the camera is difficult because the sun is setting. Now I'm streaming a bit earlier. That is very slow. Yeah, it's super laggy now. think this. Let's see. Okay, this is the right thing. So yeah, this is the profiler. So I just sampled like a little bit. So this is the top method. This is where 100% of the time is going. So yeah, 100% goes into that. I guess that's the main thread, so not much interesting there. Oh yeah, I remember this. I think this is a bug or something. It reports like 100% CPU usage, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Actually, that's probably didn't sample enough. Let's do another sample. And let's just spam the M key, because this is a thing that lags a lot. And then I'll just sit there for a minute. And okay, you can see it growing. So it's thread 0. That's where all the time is. So thread 0 is working a lot. Let's see what that was. So do work item is taking 98%. And 97% of the time is spent down in doing this transaction commit. So yeah, that's a pretty dead giveaway right there, that since it's down so far in the database, there's nothing that, like, unless I call this less, there's nothing that I can do in here unless I change the framework. So the only way to optimize this, if 97% of it is something in the database, then either I need to maybe I need to tune the database a bit. Could be, I don't know, new indexes or something. Most likely it's going to have to be somewhere up here. So that's transaction execute, write blocks in region. Yeah, self time is 0. So there's something. Ideally, I would have to figure out how to call this less. And that's how you make a C. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's generally I don't really use like visual debuggers, or I guess this is not really a debugger, but I don't usually use visual applications very much. But for something like this, for like performance tuning, like you can sit there all day putting in like printf statements and stuff to try and guess where the slowdown is. But when you do something like this, you just like instantly see what the answer is. And the fact that you see like, 98% of their time. And if I close that, yeah. This thread here, that's I think the IO thread. So this is, I don't know what's up with this. I remember searching for this. I think this is fake. That 36. I think it's not real. That's actually the thread that's doing like blocking IO reading, but I think it's actually blocked all the time. But if you look at here, almost all of the CPU time is spent in, it's just in this thread 0. And these other ones are doing like minimal work. So if you want to know where it's the slowdown at, it's in here, and it's basically all waiting for the database. Just to reference to your most popular vid. Yeah, that's that video has almost 5 million views now. It's it's the video that just keeps going. I kind of wish some of my other videos had as many views as that one, but I guess I'll have to do more semiconductor related videos. I still have one core utils video that I want to do, and then I'm going to be kind of wrapped up with that. And I have a queue of video ideas that I want to make for some random other stuff. I got some random, actually I have a couple of packages sitting in the corner over there that I've been meaning to open them up, and I bought them on eBay. It was it was over 2 years ago. They've just been sitting there waiting for me to open. Yeah, so that's the Visual VM profiler. This works pretty good for what I've needed, and I think it's like an open source thing. And so interesting. I guess it seems like it's a little bit faster now that I let it sit for a while. No, it slowed down again. That's too bad. That means there's something that I have to do, because I don't know how this is gonna get like unplayably slow if the world becomes any significant size. Let's see. Let's just make the world bigger, and then see how slow we can make it. I'm going to change the exposure on the camera. Yeah, once I have time, I can start adding like interesting new features to this, like if I could add like a configurable terrain generation. I think if I switched back to using Perlin noise, that would make the terrain generation quite a bit faster. But I guess I still have that problem with the database writes. One of the recent things I did is I added a second index, which I think is supposed to make reads faster, but I guess it also might have made the writes slower. Is this Spelunky? Is that a game? I guess it's technically a cave, so you could call it spelunking. There's no water in here. I guess that'll be an interesting. I could add a water block. I guess there wouldn't be any game mechanics around it right now. Let's do some stress testing. Let's make the area a bit bigger. It's not too bad to walk around. It starts to get the terminal lags a little bit. No ore veins up there. Oh, nice. We got another supporter in the Kickstarter. Thank you for the pledge. Thank you for teaching me about your favorite Linux commands. No problem. Thank you for watching my videos. Man, this lag is awful. This is a big problem. I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna have to do some. I really need some like better feedback on the benchmarking and stuff to figure out like exactly where it's slow. I'm using SQLite for the database, but I don't think it has very good benchmarking tools because it's like, it's a light SQL. At least not that I know of. I'll have to look into it. Because if there's something fundamentally wrong with my model of block storage in this table, I don't know, I'm gonna have to think of something clever to make it more responsive. I guess I could just go on a faster computer, but it's kind of cheating, and there's probably, it doesn't solve. It's still going to be a problem for other people, and it doesn't solve my local problem. I don't even have a huge amount of money to buy fast computers on my own. I already got one, or actually like a couple. I have like 5 computers. This is why I was asking about debugging lag versus dying hard drive, but I know nothing about programming. Debugging lag is honestly probably one of the most difficult things to do, and I think I would probably argue like most people who say I'm going to get into programming and like make a game or something, it's probably one of the big reasons why they end up not being successful, because like it's one of the most defeating things when you write something. Like if you write something and it crashes, the improvement is very easy and it's very, success is very obvious. You just have to make it not crash. But then if you write something and it's slow and it's laggy and you don't know how to debug it, and then like everything you do, you think like, oh, I gotta write more code to make it more performant. But then you write more code, and then maybe your code makes it slow again, or it doesn't fix the problem. Going back to my my profiling results, you guys saw there that when I looked at the source of the lag was like 97% on inside those database calls. And if I had assumed incorrectly that the lag was something else and I just wrote this fancy algorithm, then that would all be a waste of time. Have you made a game before? I've never made a game before, other than just like playing around with source code as a kid and stuff like that. But I've written like academic operating system kernels and stuff, and I've written like distributed systems for some contracts and stuff. So I think most of that knowledge is portable over to. I mean, I guess I called this a game, but in some ways, it's like it's not even a playable game almost at this point. It's just you move around the square and press M. I think if I could make it work a bit faster and just make it more performant, then adding enough mechanics to it to call it a game would become easy. Yeah, I guess I think a common thing among game developers is they say, hey, let's write my own game engine, which usually ends up being like a naive thing. So maybe you could call this like a game engine or something. But I think I'll just keep calling it block mining simulation game, and just focus on making it more performant and add more mechanics. And I mean stuff like SimCity and like the map designer in Age of Empires back in the day. Those things are not like games in themselves, but they're just it's fun to build stuff and move stuff around. Yeah, let's see. There's a few. There's one feature I'm working on. And it's the same Kickstarter from Livestream. Yep, same one. I spent a lot of time on that AOE 2 map editor. Yeah, I did too. I would actually kind of call that my introduction to programming. The idea of, I didn't really know anything about programming at the time, but I knew like programming involved like conditions and effects and stuff. So I spend so much time creating these elaborate scenarios to make units appear, and I spent so much time designing scenarios, and then I would never play them. All hail to the king of the losers. That was an AOE 2 quote, wasn't it? Or was that one? I vaguely remember that statement, but I forget what it was. Yeah. Wood, please. Gold, please. I haven't played that game in quite a while. Yeah, I vaguely remember these. I haven't played Age of Empires in a long time, but I know that they have they like remade it or something, and they fixed all the old bugs in it. I guess you can probably play it on like Steam or something, but I've never used Steam before. That came after my time, and since then I try to just not play video games. And for now, I'll just keep playing my own esoteric video game. Never used Steam. Shocking. How long has Steam been around? I think it must have came out when I was in university or something, and I just kind of was oblivious to it. Let's do some more profiling. All right, let's go over here and we'll just let some block worlds generate, and then so we'll sample CPU. Coming up on 21 years, huh? I didn't know it's been out that long. Wow, 21 years. So that's like 2003. Blocks generate off screen, or do they only generate once they're displayed? So around, like, everything that's on the screen is like the area that's trying to load, and it loads like a little bit outside. So like where I am right now, if I just move up quick, that's the boundary right there of where it kind of renders out to. And so everything in that area, at first, so it sends a query to the server, and if the server comes back and there's literally nothing there, you get those U for uninitialized blocks, and then when it's uninitialized, currently it's in the client, so the block initialization is done by a separate client thread, and then it sends that back to the server and writes it. So these here are still loading, and it'll load, you know, a few blocks out in either direction. Okay, so pretty much everything is in here. Yeah, so it's basically everything is in the commit phase of the transaction. That's where basically all of the time is being spent now. Process commit. Cleanup takes nothing to do commit. Save statement PDR. Native db.step. That's where like 96% of all time is spent. So I'll have to dig into that and figure out if there's a way, like, hopefully there's just some simple thing I can do. Because I'm not working with that much data. There's only like a few megs of data. And I would assume a database engine would make it more efficient to do writes. That's the whole point of a database. So that maybe I can add some index or something, or if not, I'll have to look into if there's profiling tools. Like if I can find something like this, a profiling tool for SQLite, then I can dig into that. September 12, 2003. Interesting. Yeah, actually, I vaguely can remember, I guess way back in that era, I think that was where I played World of Warcraft back in the day. And I think there were a lot of games on Steam at the time, but World of Warcraft is not on Steam, so I just ignored its existence. And then eventually I tried to get away from gaming for a while. Oh, nice. We got another supporter on the block mining simulation game Kickstarter. Thank you for the pledge. Yeah, let's see what to do now. So I don't think there's anything I can do. I can wander around my block world a bit more and endure the slow loading times. But I guess I need to go and fix some stuff and do some more research on profiling tools for SQLite, or figure out some way to address that database issue, because it's getting like this is unusable right now. And if I don't do that, if I can't fix this, then I'll just have to start demoing this on a faster computer. But it'd be nice to just make it work on a slow computer. I mean, people would expect a terminal-based game should run pretty fast. Is this a slow VM? This is just natively on the laptop. There's no virtual machine that I have. It's pretty old. This thing's got to be like 10 years old at least. It's just my spare. The reason I use this laptop is because the fan is very quiet. Mainly the fan just never turns on, and when it does turn on, it's pretty quiet. But my main computer that's actually fast is over there. But the fan, it sounds like a jet engine like all the time. Well, I may call it a night for tonight. I have a couple things I'm working on that I should be able to demo maybe by next week. I'm working on making the terminal be able to resize. So like right now, I was hoping to try it on a Raspberry Pi device. I'm putting together. Maybe I'll have to wait for further optimizations. It would probably work on a Raspberry Pi. I guess you probably, yeah, for just testing it out is probably fine. I kind of wonder if, I mean, I haven't done anything to optimize the database rights, so it might actually be, if you do run it like a lot, it might not be good for flash memory, but I don't know. Honestly, that's probably not a big deal anymore, because you can even, I think on a lot of modern flash devices, you can, with the wear leveling and stuff, you have to like write to it constantly for days, but it would probably, I would expect it to work on a Raspberry Pi. But one of the other things I'm working on is, so right now, if I try to change the window, if I go like that, look at it's totally broken. And then if I go back, it's still totally broken. So I basically have to quit it and go back in. So that I can fix that with, there's a signal called sig winch, and I thought that in Java there's some class like POSIX signal handler or something, but then I found out last night that that's actually not. It's like one of these, it's kind of sketchy, deprecated like native libraries. It's not cross-platform compatible, so it's not like natively in Java. So I thought about it in the most practical way. I think is I'm going to have to start using JNI to get access to certain like native signals, and I'm not sure. There's a million things I could add, but I was kind of thinking like it would be neat if this had mouse support, so you could actually like click in the terminal and do stuff. I don't know if we'll get around to adding that, but JNI would, I think, eventually be necessary to support that, because there's no, the whole premise of Java is you write once and run anywhere. So there's no native Java methods for operating system dependent things. And the only way to implement those is with some native, you have to have a native bindings to using JNI. So I already started a bit of work on that, and hopefully by next week I might have actually have the ability to do the window changing, respond to window changes. But I think with that, I may call it a night, and hopefully by next week I'll have at least something to say about the significant lag from database transactions. Previously, my main source of lag was other things, but that's probably the number one issue to fix at this point. All right, have a good night, guys. See you next week.